All right, a whole lot of news in the news cycle. Obviously, you have the Austin situation going on right now, but a little bit sad. Both sides of the favor, I think that. Nonetheless, we have on the combat sports another type of trend. Obviously, the champ, Dricuss supposedly is injured. So, what are we going to do about that? Are they going to scrap the whole entire card and then just maybe bring in nobody or just scrap it up altogether or get a new headline, which is what the UFC does for the most part anyway? Well, on the other hand, we're also going to talk about not Robert Whitaker. I always mistaken him for Robert Whitaker. Ben Whittaker, second round KO that he had against Liam Cameron. Now, obviously, that was from a rematch previously from the draw that they had. And yeah, Whitaker settled the score on that one. Liam Cameron made one mistake. And then out of nowhere, he went and took him out, finished him just like that. So, what's going to happen with Dricuss and Khamzat Chimaev? We don't know. But let's go back to the Liam Cameron Robert Whitaker fight, right? What is the common denominator here? Obviously, there's Andy Lee. Okay, Hamzah Sheeraz and Andy Lee are now partners in terms of fighter and trainer. So what exactly does that mean? What exactly is that going to mean for the career of Hamzah Sheeraz? Now, obviously, he was with Ricky Fuentes, and Ricky Fuentes had this he had this social media post that I saw, which sort of gave a very telling situation in terms of what is going on here. So I happen to be a social media friend of Ricky Fuentes, right? This is what he said just a couple of days ago, just I would say about the same day that he got fired from Hamzah. He said, I missed both of my daughter's birthdays in the beginning of the year, so I had to make it up to them to the happiest place on earth, which is obviously in Disneyland in Anaheim, just right in the LA area or whatever, Orange County to be exact. But yeah, so in other words, he went and basically spent time with his daughters because you know what? Of all the time that you spend with a world champion fighter, right? And then on top of that, sometimes you have to go to England to go train with him there, to go train with him in London. And then sometimes you got to bring him here. And then sometimes you got to go to Big Bear and all of that. So it's a lot, right? It's a lot. It's not just like showing up at the gym and then telling everybody what to do. It's a whole lot deeper than that when it comes to training a world champion fighter. So next test for Hamzah Sheeraz is going to be Edgar Berlanga. Now, that's an obvious step up. Now, is he ready for that kind of step up, especially with the performance that he had against Carlos Adames? Now, only time will tell. Okay, because here's the thing, right? I think there is a little bit of a misguided approach when it comes to firing coaches. Obviously, coaches get fired all the time when it comes to mainstream sports, right? Like, for example, here in the Sacramento Kings, we had a coach named Mike Brown, and Mike Brown sort of took the Kings in one of their first playoff seasons in a long time, right? This was like in 23, 22 or something to that extent. And obviously Mayweather and 50 Cent came out to one of the games and this and that. It was very big. It was a very big season for the franchise. And then next thing you know, the Kings don't do so good in the next season. And what happens? He gets fired, right? Even after he had brought the best possible glory that he could have brought to the organization. But that's neither here or there. That's just what people do. They're going to look for the most low-hanging fruit problem, and sometimes it's not often the most accurate conclusion or reaction that you would have to take, or actions that you would take in order to mitigate whatever problem that was there. But on any regard, obviously, a lot of the boxing heads right now are talking about this because it's a big fight. Obviously, Hamzah Sheeraz is a big prospect, very promising, and Edgar Berlanga is coming off of a fight from Canelo. I mean, he did fight Canelo a few fights ago, so he has that under his belt. So what are they trying to do with Hamza? They're trying to get him to fight Canelo because that's the ultimate goal in boxing right now. If you are anywhere from 150 to 160 to even 175 pounds, right? And obviously, Canelo has met his limits right up there. But on any regard, yeah, like as I was saying, right? Edgar Berlanga taking on Hamzah Sheeraz, it's a big test. So who do you bring in for a big test like that? How about a guy like Andy Lee? Look at all the names that Andy Lee has helped, right? Look at the performance of Joseph Parker. You know what? Joseph Parker could very well be the undisputed champion just right after every single one of these guys retire, like Fury and Usyk and all these guys. He's the dark horse of the heavyweight division right now. And you know what? He could easily beat anybody at any given time. And that probably is a contribution of the coaching that Andy Lee has. Andy Lee, look at what he's done with Tyson Fury over the years. So for those of you that don't know Andy Lee, he was the former WBO middleweight champion, or not middleweight, but super middleweight champion of not super middleweight, I'm sorry, junior or just middleweight champion. Yeah, because it's in the 160s or so where Billy Joe Saunders had fought him. But yeah, that's basically the preface of what I was trying to say. He's had some notable fights with Billy Joe Saunders, has fought in the world level of 160, 168, and all of that. So now he has a staple of heavyweights that he trains, and now it just happens to be Hamzah Sheeraz, the next guy that he's going to train right up top. Now, is this good? There's some pros and cons about it. Obviously, with Andy Lee, there's situations where he's going to be busy with other fighters, right? Or is he going to decompartmentalize the time being that they're going to train together, or maybe have them all train together as a team, which would probably be very beneficial for Hamzah Sheeraz, considering the fact that he's going to have all these big names and all of these top stars around him to really help hone down what it is that he's trying to do, right? Which is what? Be a world champion level fighter. And speaking of world champion level fighter, now what about comes Hamza? We go from Hamza to Khamzat. So Khamzat is trying to be the 185 champion. Constant things keep getting in his way, whether it's injuries on his part or whether it's injuries on other people's part, or even just visa issues, not being able to fight in the US. So they have to somehow mitigate different situations around him to build a card around him in the Middle East or somewhere in Europe where he's allowed to be. But either way, this injury with Dricuss du Plessis, will he take another fight? How about this? Maybe an interim championship. Because for a long time, man, Khamzat has been waiting to get his shot. And while he was getting his shot, he's been spending time in, Russian mountains shooting his AKs. Look at this. This is a modified AK, not a modified, but this is the official AK-47 of the Russian military right now, being used in the conflict of the Ukraine and the Russia conflict. And yeah, that's what Khamzat does, is he goes and practices his shots while waiting for his shot to fight Dricuss, and it's just not happening. So what are they going to do? Are they going to do an interim belt? That seems to be the best course. What's going to happen for UFC 317? Right now, let's take a look at the card for UFC 317. Is there an official card for this yet in terms of everyone being in it? There's really not. There's Pantoja. If you look right here, you got for the championship bout, Kai Kara France once again getting a title shot against Pantoja. Manel Cap is in it against Brandon Royval. That's a good flyweight fight. And then for the heavyweight bout, you have Jonata Diaz taking on Justin Hoffa. Now, who is this Johanton Dientes? Who is this guy? Okay, so he's sort of okay, a bit of a okay, so 8-1. Okay, so this is a quite a good record. And then he just lost to Myson Tybora and this and that. And so obviously Justin Tafa is always a fun outing every time he's out there. But yeah, that's what they have so far for UFC 317. It's very premature. They don't know what they want to do yet, and we don't know who's going to headline this fight. And I just learned about this, I believe, yesterday, and then it was reported today in Morning Combat. Shout out to Morning Combat, Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell. Obviously, I've done a few shorts with Luke Thomas in it, and yeah, it did some pretty good numbers. So shout out to Luke, a big inspiration to the world of MMA media and a very articulate and smart person. But either way, that's not what this is all about, really. It's all about what we're going to do with Khamzat, what is going to happen, and what is going to happen with Andy Lee now that he has one more world level champion or potential world champion in his hands, and likes of Hamzah Sheeraz now taking on Edgar Berlanga, which is now the biggest talk of the town, at least in the boxing world. And I can't wait for this fight to happen. And shout outs to here we go again, Ben Whittaker, not Robert Whitaker, on his win and his victory in his rematch against Liam Cameron. What does this mean for him? Does this mean that he moves up even more in competition, proving himself to be at the elite level and having the capabilities that he has and the knockout power, or at least the counter shot to continue on with these finishing streaks that he has? But on either way, it's unfortunate if Dricuss is injured. Maybe he's going to fight through with it. Maybe he won't. Maybe this is just a rumor. Maybe it's not. Maybe Hamzah will fight for an interim title. Maybe he won't. Or maybe he just won't fight in this card whatsoever. But on any event, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one, inshallah. MMA needs, if you want to find predictions, news, and everything that deals with MMA, shout outs to Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA, Sacramento, California, represent.
That's right, Kyrie. I appreciate you, my nigga. You came in here, you was talking that shit. That's right, bro. Much love, Flo. I appreciate you for always stepping in, bro. Be safe out there. Man, my nigga Kyrie, my man Kyrie came through. He started talking that shit. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing. That nigga will whoop your fucking ass. You would think that nigga's all squared up and all that type of shit. Nigga come through and beat your fucking ass. Like, man, fuck you up. You will never see it coming. So for those of y'all